Hi guys, it's Debbie and I just got off of 2 hours and 35 minutes of one of the most baffling films of the year. Massive cast, crazy confusing storyline, a plethora of accents, both real and fake, well shot but incredibly confusing in the hand of Dante. And I really hope that some of you have seen this because I really want to know what you guys think of it. And don't worry if you haven't seen the movie, I won't spoil it for you. It would actually be way too complicated to spoil. Anyway, just a little bit of context first. This movie revolves around the figure of Dante Alighieri, who brutally put is basically the William Shakespeare of Italy. He is probably the most influential Italian writer of all time. I've lived in Italy nearly my entire life and I can tell you with absolute certainty that even the person with the lowest knowledge of Italian literature still has heard of Dante Alighieri, or at least has gone to a school named after him, lived in a street named after him, or at least had to read parts of the Divine Comedy at school. And the Divine Comedy is right at the center of this movie. By the way, just to understand how influential it is, our common imagination of what hell looks like largely comes from Dante's depiction of it in the Divine Comedy, his journey through hell, purgatory and heaven. So that's just a quick background on the writer and the text the movie revolves around. Now the movie, In the Hand of Dante, actually has two storylines, which is where a lot of the confusion comes from. Oscar Isaac plays both Dante himself back in the 14th century and in the modern day a Dante expert who gets pulled into a mob conspiracy involving what could possibly be an authentic manuscript of the Divine Comedy. The film constantly jumps between these two storylines, one in black and white and one in colour, while also trying to draw some parallels between them. And several of the other actors also portray various characters across the timelines. Now, in my opinion, but reading online also seems in the opinion of many others, the film should have tried to focus on just one storyline. In my personal opinion, the modern mob one. The whole mob plot surrounding this priceless manuscript was genuinely interesting. Even if it wasn't perfect, it had its plot holes, it was very fast paced, it kept on moving, it had you curious about where this would all end. Gerard Butler in particular was fantastic as the foul-mouthed, ruthless assassin Louis, whereas every time the movie cut back to medieval Dante, everything slowed to a crawl. I never really understood what those scenes were trying to achieve beyond just giving a basic introduction to the character. But I felt that instead of supporting the modern story, these scenes felt more like they were interrupting it. Then there was the issue of languages and accents. There is absolutely no consistency across this movie. We have American actors speaking in perfect English, we have Italian actors speaking in perfect Italian or English with an Italian accent, but then we also have Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa trying to attempt something which I think is Italian. We have characters who are Italian but speaking in perfect English. We have characters who are Italian but who speak in English with a broken accent. It's a mess. Then there's Al Pacino's cameo, Martin Scorsese's cameo. What were they trying to do here? Actually, the whole movie is a bit of a mess. It never seems to commit to one clear direction. Even the stronger mob storyline eventually descends into complete chaos. Reality starts blending with the spirituality of the Divine Comedy. Plot holes become craters. What begins as a clever manuscript heist turns into a generic, increasingly impossible cat and mouse mess. Now, I say all of this without having read Nick Tosh's original novel, so I can't tell you how faithful the movie is to its source material. The one thing I can say is that if the creators of this film wanted to achieve that confusing feeling of Dante moving through hell, purgatory, heaven, meeting new characters, changing locations, they definitely succeeded. Acting wise, I generally don't understand why Gal Gadot is still being cast in these elegant, elevated roles. We could have put a cardboard cutout in her place and her acting would have been the same. I won't say too much about Jason Momoa's character to not spoil the plot, but we're on the same level. I also don't think Martin Scorsese or Al Pacino's cameos were necessary. Were they there just to reinforce the crime story vibe, to add more famous names to the poster? Were they there to use some budget that could have been allocated better? I have no clue. The actors who consistently deliver are mostly the ones involved in the mob storyline: Oscar Isaac, Gerard Butler, John Malkovich, Louis Cancelmi. Now, regardless of everything I've said, I still wouldn't give it a half star, as I've seen many others doing. It's still well shot. There are some genuinely beautiful scenes, the cinematography is solid, not every moment falls apart, and you can clearly see there was ambition, there was an idea here, it just simply didn't work out. And you can tell from how quietly this film was released. I personally think I'm quite on top of movie news, trailers, new releases, yet I only found out about this movie not too long ago, and then it was quietly released on Netflix and nobody's talking about it, and if they do, it's mostly with negative reviews. Still, I'll leave it up to your own judgment, because despite all its flaws, I have to admit it kept me curious enough to sit through the entire 150 minutes just to find out on how on earth this bizarre manuscript conspiracy would end. So if you have seen The Hand of Dante, please let me know what you think about it, and if you haven't seen it, does it sound like something interesting? Let me know everything with a comment down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.